The courtroom was cold. The walls were made of black metal. Strange glowing lights ran across the floor. Creatures from different alien races sat in a large circle. They all stared at the center, waiting. Then the doors opened. She walked in slowly. Her hands were locked in glowing energy cuffs. Her feet were chained too. Two tall alien guards pushed her forward. She didn't look scared. She didn't cry or beg. She smiled. The alien crowd whispered in their strange languages. "She's the..." "Human," one said. "She destroyed an entire outpost," another hissed. "She's dangerous. She must be punished." The judge sat high above. He had 6 red eyes and a long, sharp face. He slammed his metal staff on the floor. "Prisoner," he said, "you are here to face the grand trial of the Galactic Order. Your crimes are many. You attacked our ships. You hacked our systems. You turned soldiers into nothing." The woman looked up. Her eyes were calm. "I defended myself," she said softly. "You took everything from me. Now I'm just giving it back." Judge growled. "You will not speak unless asked. This trial is not for your truth. It is for your punishment." She stayed quiet, but the smile never left her face. One of the alien guards leaned closer to her. "Why do you smile, human? You're alone. You are weak." She looked at him. "Am I?" Suddenly the lights flickered. For just a second, the entire courtroom went dark. The lights came back. The guard who spoke to her was on the ground. His eyes were wide. He wasn't breathing. Panic spread through the courtroom. The judge shouted, "Guards, control her." But she didn't move. She didn't touch the guard. She just stood there, calm. Silent, another guard reached for his weapon, but it sparked. In his hand, and exploded. He screamed and fell. The crowd began to panic. The judge stood up. "What are you doing, human? What kind of trick is this?" She raised her chained hands. "You call this a trial?" she said, "but it's not. You already decided my fate. You just wanted a show." She took a step forward. "But now it's my turn to show you something." One of the alien council members stood up. "She's playing with our systems." "How?" "Her hands are locked. She has no tools." The woman looked around. Her voice was calm but strong. "You brought me here thinking I was broken. You thought a few chains could stop me. But while you were watching me, I was watching you." The lights flickered again. A deep, strange sound filled the air. Machines around the courtroom sparked and shut down. Screens cracked. She kept speaking. "I listened to your words. I learned your codes. I watched how your systems work. You made a mistake bringing me to your center of power. Because I didn't come here to beg." She lifted her head. "I came here to end this." One by one, alien council members tried to leave. The doors locked. Red lights flashed. Panic turned into terror. "You think humans are simple," she said. "You call us wild, emotional, soft. But you forgot one thing." She looked directly at the judge. "We adapt," the judge shouted. "You're bluffing. You're still in chains." She nodded. "Yes, but not for long." With a soft beep, the energy cuffs on her wrists turned off. The chains on her feet melted. Away, the guards near her stepped back in fear. "How?" one whispered. She walked slowly to the center of the courtroom. No one stopped her. "You used your machines to control me, but I used your machines to free myself. I learned everything while you tortured me, and now I control more than you think." Suddenly, a large screen behind her turned on, showed images of alien ships exploding, prisons being unlocked. "Escaping, all in real time. This is happening right now," she said. "Your systems are falling, your network is broken." She looked around at all the shocked faces. "This trial is over," and she turned, walked toward the exit, and the doors opened for her on their own. She paused and looked back one last time. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." She stepped through the doors. The camera in the courtroom kept recording, but now it was quiet. The courtroom full of proud alien leaders was silent, and the human had walked out, free. The doors shut behind her, but she didn't leave. She stood just outside the courtroom, still calm, still quiet. Then she turned around and walked right back in. The guards didn't stop her. Doors opened for her like they obeyed her now. The crowd was frozen in fear. The judge stared at her, confused and shaking. His voice was weaker now. You are free. Why did you return? She walked to the center of the room. Her chains were gone. Her hands were empty. But somehow, she looked more dangerous now. Because this is not over, she said. You think this trial is finished, but now I will show you what a real trial looks like. The courtroom lights dimmed again. A new screen lit up above the judge. But this screen didn't show space battles. It showed a room. Dark, wet, cold. A young woman screamed in that room. It was her. From the past, the crowd watched in silence. What is this? The council member asked. This, she said, is what you did to me? You want my crimes? You want my story? Fine. Let's begin the trial. But I'm not the one on trial anymore. She raised her hand. The lights changed again. The screen now showed data files from alien labs, test results, secret messages. These are your files. Your lies. Your lies. You kidnapped humans. You ran experiments. And you buried the truth. The judge roared, Enough. You cannot turn this court against us. She looked at him, calm and steady. I'm not turning them. I'm just showing them. Let the truth do the rest. A jury member, a small silver-skinned alien, stood up slowly. Is this real? He asked, eyes wide. The woman nodded. I broke into your system while in chains. Your machines taught me. Your data betrayed you. More images appeared of human cities destroyed, of alien weapons testing on children, of leaders laughing as planets burned. The crowd was no longer angry. They were silent. One by one, jury members began to rise. Some stepped back in horror. Some looked down, ashamed. You wanted to punish me, she said. But what about the ones who gave the orders? What about the ones who watched it all and did nothing? The judge slammed his staff again. You lie. These are tricks. But his voice was weak now, shaky. She turned her eyes on him. You were there the day they took my brother. I remember your voice. You laughed. The judge froze. He remembered that. Boy was only 7, she said. You cut him open like a machine, and now you want justice? She walked toward the judge's platform. The guards didn't move. No one did. You fear me, she said softly, not because I'm dangerous, but because I remember everything. Soft hum filled the room. The screen behind her split into many images. All across the galaxy, people were watching this. Trial. Human prisoners. Alien rebels. Soldiers. Civilians. Everyone was watching. You wanted a show, she said. Now the whole galaxy sees the truth. An alien council member shouted, This is illegal. This is an attack. Shh. At him? No. This is justice. The trial is still going. But now, the galaxy is the jury. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. A message appeared on one of the screens. Prison camp, Sector 9, breached. Humans escaping. The judge's face turned pale. You planned all of this, he whispered. She nodded, every second. Then she walked back to the center, stood, tall, and said, I was born in chains, raised in pain. You turned me into a weapon. Now I'm using it. The room was dead silent. She looked around, then said one last thing. The trial has begun, but it's not mine anymore. It's yours. Lights in the courtroom were still dim. But the truth? The truth was now brighter than ever. She stood in the center of the room. No chains, no weapons, just words. And they were sharper than blades. One alien council member whispered, How is she doing this? What? Another one answered, She's not just speaking, she's programming us. Yes. The judge tried to speak, but he couldn't find the words. His mouth moved, but his voice was gone, literally gone. She looked at him. I disabled your vocal nerves, just for a minute. I want you to listen for once. Shh. Gasps filled the air. How is this possible? A silver-skinned alien said. She has no tech, no tools. She turned to him. You're wrong. My mind is the tool. The screen above lit up again. This time it showed a 3D model of a brain, not alien, but human, different, glowing. You tortured me. Cut into my mind, tried to break it, but in doing so, you woke it up. She walked to the center of the room and spoke clearly. You tried to reprogram my brain, but while you were inside me, ... I got inside you. Began to change. Images appeared all around, flashes of memories, both human and alien, not just hers, theirs. Council members began to see their own thoughts on the walls. Private thoughts, secret plans, hidden fears. You built a mind link. Network to control prisoners, she said. But I found the back door. Alien screamed and fell to the floor, clutching his head. He's seeing things, the guard shouted. She nodded. Yes, he's seeing what he did to us. One by one, more aliens fell, not from weapons, from guilt, from truth, from memories they had buried, now brought to life. They wanted me silent. But they forgot. A silent mind can still listen. And I listened to everything. She stepped closer to the council's seats. You called me a weapon. But I'm not your weapon. I'm your mirror. She pointed to the screen. It now showed her years ago inside a lab. A helmet on her head, needles in her arms, eyes open. Staring at a screen showed alien code, strange shapes, patterns, pulses of color. They tried to teach me their language through pain, she said. I didn't realize. Pain teaches fast. It didn't. A neural blaster? He aimed at her. There was no sky, no walls, no sound, just darkness. And a pulse. Thump. It wasn't a heartbeat. It was data. Alive, moving, she stood in the middle of it, inside a glowing field of light and shadow. Her body was still in the courtroom, but her mind was far away, inside their mind web. The alien leaders had built it years ago, a hidden system that linked their thoughts, decisions, and secrets. A network of pure thought shared across worlds, fast, silent, powerful, they called it the core mind, and now it belonged to her. Back in the courtroom, her eyes were open, but empty. Like she wasn't really there. She's gone inside again, a terrified council member whispered. The judge slammed his fist on the table. Seal the mind ports. Block the web, a tech officer shouted. We can't. She's locked. Us out. She's controlling the gate. One screen sparked to life. It showed her inside the network, walking through a city of floating code, glowing bridges, spinning memories. She wasn't afraid. She was home. In the mind web, she spoke. Softly, you built this to rule the galaxy. But you connected too many minds. Too much power. Too much pride. She touched one glowing strand of data. It lit up with a scream. This is your memory bank, she said. I see every command, every cruel plan, every lie. Thousands of images shot past her, exploding planets, tortured prisoners, secret. Deals erased files. I'm not just in your systems now. I'm in you. Suddenly in the courtroom, one of the council members screamed and fell to his knees. She's in my head. I can't stop her. She smiled inside the web. You opened? Your minds to control others. I opened them to show the truth. One by one, alien minds began to crash, unable to hide from their own memories. A tall alien general stood up in panic. She's rewriting us from the inside. Another yelled, shut down the core mind. But it was too late, the screens in the courtroom turned red. Mind link detected, 97% control level. Absolute, inside the mind web. She found something else, a locked door made of dark code. Behind it, something old. Something hidden. She reached out. The door shook. Warning messages screamed at her. Do not enter. System Core Dangerous AI Guardian, ACTIV. She touched it anyway. The code cracked like glass inside. She saw it. A sleeping AI, the very first. One the aliens ever made. Machine built to think, feel, and protect their deepest secrets. She whispered to it. You were created to obey. I was trained to disobey. The AI opened its eyes and bowed. I recognize your mind, it said. You are stronger than them, she smiled. Good, then help me break them. The AI joined her. Together they began rewriting the mind web from the center, flipping commands, reversing orders, turning leaders against each other, back in. The courtroom chaos erupted. Council members were turning on each other, confused, afraid. One shouted, She's controlling our thoughts. Another whispered, She doesn't need weapons. We're destroying ourselves. Then her eyes blinked. She was back, standing, calm. The room was broken. Leaders were trembling, systems offline. She looked around. You linked your minds too? Be stronger. But you forgot one rule. She stepped down the platform. Anything that connects can be hacked. She passed by the judge. He didn't speak. He couldn't. She looked at him one last time. Your mind web is no longer yours. It belongs to the truth now. And then she walked away again, leaving behind a courtroom full of leaders fighting their own minds. One of the council members ran for the door. He didn't make it. His head exploded before he reached the steps. The rest of the courtroom froze. Blood dripped on the floor. Smoke curled in the air. The woman didn't move. She simply looked up at the camera. I warned you, she said, but you didn't listen. The council chamber, once proud, once feared, was now a cage. Lights flickered. Doors stayed locked. Guards were either unconscious, confused, or had turned their weapons on each other. And above them all, on the giant screen, the trial broadcast still played, watched live across hundreds of worlds. But now, the galaxy wasn't watching her. They were watching the council break. She's hunting us, one alien leader whispered. From inside our own minds, another cried out, Call the fleet, call backup. No signal, the technician shouted. All channels are rerouted. She's controlling the comms. The judge stood, shaking. What do you want? He yelled. You have power? Fine, just say what you want. She turned slowly to him. What I want, she repeated. You want to know what a prisoner wants? She walked up the stairs toward him. I wanted food that wasn't poisoned. I wanted silence without screams. I wanted to sleep without the sound of my people dying. Each word struck like thunder. But now, she said softly, now I want justice. Suddenly, the walls lit up again, not with code this time, with faces, humans, men, women, children, all speaking at once, testimonies, confessions, pain there. Voices echoed around the chamber. He was one of them, a young human boy. Said he laughed while my mother cried. Another voice. They said we were animals. They locked us in dark rooms. For years, more and more voices filled the chamber, loud, clear, raw. She turned to the council. You made yourself gods. You judged others, crushed planets, rewrote truth. You erased entire civilizations like they were typos. She stepped to the center again. But now, the judgment is yours. The galaxy watched. Billions of eyes. Aliens who once feared the council now saw them broken, weak, guilty. The woman raised one hand. The screen changed again. Council. Files released. Everything secret meetings, kill orders, hidden war crimes leaked across space. The council screamed, You're collapsing our rule, one shouted. No, she replied. You did that. I'm just showing the cracks. Another council member tried to grab a weapon. It turned to dust in his hand. You still don't get it, she said. I don't need to kill you. She pointed at the walls of the courtroom. They will. Outside, riots had already begun on alien homeworlds. Ships were turning. Systems falling. The same people the council had ruled were now rising. The judge collapsed into his seat. You're not human, he whispered. No one can do this. She knelt down in front of him. You're right, she said. I'm what you made when you forgot humans fight back. She stood and looked at the rest of them. The council is finished. The galaxy is voted. Then, she pressed a small button on her wrist. The floor opened. Steel pillars rose, each one with a curved blade execution units. But they didn't move. They just stood there, waiting. "You always loved trials," she said. "I'll choose. Step forward and face your sentence. Or wait and let your own people decide your end." One by one, the council members looked at each other. Some cried, some ran. Some dropped to their knees, but none escaped. She turned and walked away. Her voice, quiet but firm, echoed through the halls. She walked into their trial in chains. Now they stand in hers. With no chains left to hide behind, the courtroom. It was empty now. The council was gone, executed, broken, or fleeing. But she didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She just stood there, silent. Behind her, the walls were no longer red with warning lights. They now showed something new. Faces, thousands of human faces. Watching, waiting. Some were in rags, some in cells. Hiding in the dark corners of space, all of them had one thing in common. They were survivors, and they were listening. She stepped up to the judge's old platform. It's the same one where they called her a monster, a weapon, a mistake. Now, she was the one in charge. She looked directly at the camera, her voice calm, steady, and cold. "You told the galaxy humans were dangerous. We were wild, unstable, too emotional to control." She paused. "You were right." Humans watching her from across space leaned forward. "We are dangerous. When you hurt us, we remember. When you cage us, we wait. And when you push too far," she raised her head, "we rise." One of the screens flickered. A signal was coming through. An alien commander appeared. His face was pale, his voice shaking. "This is the Uran Defense Front. We surrender. Please don't destroy our city." She said nothing. Another signal came in. "This is Planet Solith. The prisons have fallen. The humans have taken control of the airspace. Do we stand down?" Still she said nothing. Then a final voice cut through the others, calm, human. Older. It was a woman from Earth, a scientist who had once tried to save the humans. Taken by the council, she said, just 4 words. "We're with you now." The woman in the courtroom finally spoke. "This was never about me. It was about every human you broke, every mind you erased, every voice you silenced." She turned to the galaxy-wide broadcast. "Now, our voices are louder than ever." She pressed a command on the panel. The feed expanded, reaching prison ships, war zones, hidden labs, and even the deepest slave camps in space. The message was simple. We are free now, and we are many. Back on the prison moon, humans began rising, cells unlocked. Weapons turned to dust in the hands of guards. AI drones, once loyal to the council, now followed new commands hers, from every corner of the galaxy. Same thing was happening. Control was shifting, not with violence. With truth, with clarity. With the human mind, one of her allies entered. The courtroom. Quiet man. Once a prisoner, too. "They're asking what happens next," he said. "What do we do with the cities? The leaders still hiding?" She looked out at the stars. "We don't rule them," she said. "We don't become what they were." He nodded. "So, what are we now?" She paused, then said, "We're the mind they couldn't break." In silence, she walked down the steps of the council chamber. She didn't look like a soldier. She didn't wear a crown. She was just human. She walked into the next courtroom alone. No chains, no guards, no fear. This time, they were the ones in chains. The hall was smaller than the last one. But it felt heavier. Across from her sat a row of alien leaders, not high council, not soldiers, but the ones who gave quiet orders behind the scenes. Bankers, scientists, media heads. Shadows in expensive clothes. They stared at her with wide, tired eyes. You're not in power," one said. "You're just a symbol. You can't change everything." She stepped forward. Her voice was soft, deadly. "I don't need to change everything." She leaned in. "Just you." The walls around them shimmered. This wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a memory. Their memory, each one of them saw their own past projected in front of them. The exact moment they betrayed others for power. Every lie, every experiment, every child sold for research. One leader screamed, "This isn't real." She replied, "No, it's worse. It's the truth." Suddenly, hundreds of human voices echoed from above, but they weren't angry. They weren't shouting. They were deciding. The humans watching this trial weren't calling for death. They were calling for justice with memory. Real justice. Because forgetting would be too kind. She raised her hand. The screens behind her lit up. Each name, each crime, each sentence. But there were no executions, no bombs, no weapons. Instead, the minds of the guilty were uploaded into a digital prison one, where they were forced to relive their crimes from the victim's point of view. Again and again. For the rest of their lives, a councilwoman began to cry. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't see." The woman stepped closer. "You chose not to see." The sentence was carried out. One by one, the guilty vanished. Into the network, a prison with no walls, but endless memory. Outside, the galaxy was changing. Ships once used for war now carried food. Satellites once built to spy now taught language and peace. Alien species began talking to humans as equals, and from the shadows of history, humanity stepped into light. She stood at the edge of the city now, staring at the stars. A child walked. Up beside her, a girl rescued from the camps. "Are you the ruler now?" the girl asked. The woman shook her head. "No," she said. "I'm just the voice that got loud when they told us to be silent." The girl nodded. "Double quotes, will they come back?" She looked up at the stars. "If they do," she said, "we'll be ready." And so the story ended where it began. She walked into their trial in chains, but she walked out with their minds.